Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of From the Root to the Fruit. I'm your host, Jay Smith. Today's guest is a mom, a business owner, entrepreneur, does a lot of great work in the community, and also if make sure that my situation is situated, eyebrows and everything else. Uh, Decided to go into cosmetology about 6 years ago, started and launched her own business, and has absolutely been killing it. I'd like to sit down and ask her a lot of questions that I just have not asked, although we've known each other for quite a few years at this point. Uh, Please welcome Mrs. Kasie Harvey. And welcome to the show, Kasie.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Like I said, I really want to get an opportunity. A lot of these questions that I'm going to be asking and the topics that we're going to be covering are things that, although we have a personal relationship, I have never actually taken the time to ask you. So shame on me. So this is going to be a treat for me.
Thank you. Well, before we start, I just want to say I love this format for you, and I'm super proud of you and think this is awesome. You're such a motivating guy, and I think this is great that you're doing this podcast. So
Well, I thank
awesome.
you. I genuinely thank you. It is a labor of love, and every time this thing comes on, I get terrified inside. So that's one of the main reasons I keep doing it.
Makes it exciting. Good for you.
Let's get right into it. Tell me a little bit about like kind of how you grew up. Were you always on the West Coast, or did you kind of migrate this way from somewhere else?
No, yeah, I've lived in the Pacific Northwest for pretty much my whole life. I grew up in the Portland area until I was 13. And then my family moved to the Seattle area, to Puyallup, right just south of Seattle, near Tacoma. And I lived there until I came to Seattle to go to UW, and then have been more in the Seattle metro area ever since. I did have a short stint where I lived in Vegas for a hot minute.
Nice.
When David and I got married. But other than that, yeah, I'm a Pacific Northwest girl. I still can't get used to the fact that it gets dark at 4 p.m., even though I've lived here my whole life. But, it is what it is.
Absolutely. And that strains on me so bad during this time of year. I'm
Rough.
trying to tell the kids, like, get your stuff together, make sure you're ready to go to bed. They're like, Dad, we haven't even had dinner. It's 4:15. I'm like,
Yeah, wait,
oh,
what? It's not
sorry.
8 p.m.?
But it's
Very
absolutely
confusing.
ridiculous. Tell me a little bit about UW. I know in my notes I have that you were a drama major.
I was,
That
yeah.
I would have lost any type of trivia question in that regard. Tell me a little bit about campus life and kind of what that was like for you.
Yeah, well, I went to UW. I wasn't in like a sorority or anything like that. I lived with 4 girls off campus, and it was just the best time. But yeah, I mean, they were really sweating on me to pick a major, and those were classes that was fun. And I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do. I tried sociology for a minute, and it was fine. But I was like, well, these classes are fun. I'll just major in drama. And so I did. That's what I did. I haven't really done anything with it since, but that's sometimes how it goes. It doesn't necessarily always matter, I don't think. It's just the fact that you did it.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Unless it's something very specific that you want to do, an engineer, a doctor, something like that.
I take it from a computer engineering major, that too.
You just never know. As it turns out, I ended up going to beauty school in my 30s. So, sometimes you never know where the path's going to take you, although I'm certainly glad that I had that college experience. And, it was just such a great time. And I learned a lot about myself and being independent and all of that. But yeah. Some fun.
what has it been like for you? Like, obviously, I don't mean for it to sound as though like it's a man's world, because it is very much not. Women are the center of the universe. My wife and will tell you I say so every day.
I
And
know. I love that about you.
but what has it kind of been like to try to find your footing and chase your passion? I'm assuming anyway, when you change course so drastically, that you found a passion, you found something that you truly enjoy doing and you feel called to do.
Yeah, I mean, I was always interested in beauty. I was always into skincare, even as a kid, but didn't really consider that that would be a career path. When I went, I was in like sales and, in more of a corporate environment. And then in 2008, when the market crashed and I got laid off, I was like, I don't even like this. Like, what am I doing? And, I was getting these kinds of services myself and thought, well, that seems kind of interesting. And I think the field sounds fun and you're working with people. I did like that about sales, like helping and working with people.
Right.
I didn't like the cold calling and knocking on doors about sales, but that's all right. And so I just took a total shift and went to beauty school. And I was one of the older people there, in my 30s. And
Seasoned. The word is
seasoned. Yes. But it was kind of cool to be so seasoned and be in school because you were just so much more focused and like, I know this is what I want to do. I know what it's going to take. And, it was pretty, easy for me in that way. But yeah, I also had to start from the bottom. I had to, start making not very much money and get experience and get good at my craft. And, that all takes time. And then after a few years, I went out on my own and started my own thing. And, that was a big leap. At first, I started working with just myself in a studio space and, built up my clientele and got busy. And then 4 years later, expanded into a bigger space. And now I have 6 employees and just doing all the brows and skin and waxing in Bellevue. And, now we've established ourselves as the place to go for that, and super proud of that. And yeah, it's a lot of work though.
Oh no, and yes. Yeah. I wanted to know, have there, it seems like it's been seamless, although obviously the long hours, the short pay and kind of paying your dues has come along with that. But
yeah.
Have there been any other challenges that you didn't have a level of expectation for that you've kind of run into?
Yeah. I think now that my team is growing, I'm experiencing new challenges with that. Like when I worked by myself, I only had myself to worry about. And, now there are 5 people that rely on me for their income and, rely on me for their livelihood. And I take that very seriously, and, that's a pressure and a challenge. I think, I've brought in the right people to make that happen. And I have a great team. But, I never kind of turn it off. Like I'm always working in my head or at home, or I'm, I might be on my phone when I get home because I'm posting on Instagram, for the business. And, it's just, it never stops.
Oh yeah. Like you're perpetually on call, right?
Yeah.
Like if something happens, now you're and that kind of gets me directly into, you're a mom, like a super mom, super wife, like all these hats that you wear, kind of fluctuate and filter into the same space, right? Like where you're the top priority. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to care for or nurture or however you want to propagate that information. Like, but all
Yeah.
of those are some semblance of the way you relationship and everything else. And it has to have a level of depth to it for it to work anyway. Can you kind of like how do you relation with wearing all those hats?
Yeah. I mean, I think women are like the ultimate multitaskers, right?
Yes.
In general. So that has some to do with it. We also, as women, and particularly as moms, as much as it's like such a bad thing, we all have a big heaping full of guilt all the time. You're guilty if you do, and you're guilty if you don't. You can't help
Yes.
but feel like, oh, I'm working and I'm doing the thing, but I may not be home to, take my kid to basketball practice.
Right.
I may not be, there for the homework or whatever it is. Like something has to give, and so you feel guilty that you're not able to do it all at all times. Or if you are able to be at home, and then you feel guilty you're not working. And so it's just like, you got to find the balance, and that can be hard. I have a partner that's super supportive and very lucky that way. We are like team family, and, we have a little bit different gender dynamics, maybe I would say. Like, David, my husband, he's the one that has to make dinner because I'm here till 7 p.m. If we waited till I get home, we wouldn't eat dinner till 9 o'clock.
Right.
So those things, we just had to find our different roles, and it works for our family dynamic, and we do our best.
Well,
I don't
and
know if that answered your question, but I guess that's where I
it
went.
did, and I'm gonna take you further down that rabbit hole, right? Like even
Okay.
in our home, it's very much the same thing. Like my wife calls it mom guilt, where
Yeah.
I'm like, babe, but we're represented in this space. I went to 3 basketball games in a day. Like I think we got it covered, and it still feels like dirty, like you did something you weren't supposed to do, even though you're doing exactly what you needed to do to take care of the things, and kind of like that.
Yeah.
But I've never felt that, so I always when given an opportunity, because men are just treated differently. Like we just
Yeah.
are. Like if in some of the mom groups with when the kids were smaller, and I'm about to go through it again, but when the kids were
Mm-hmm.
smaller, like in elementary school, if I showed up with some brownies, I mean, I could walk on water. We just got this
Yeah.
done. That just happened. Yeah.
Best
Versus
dad ever.
right, like it is one of those things where I have to do very little to be considered like, oh, that's top tier. That's great level, as opposed to moms who I feel like, and you can speak to this as well, like you guys have to work twice as hard to get to kind of not keep up, but feel as though you're
Yeah.
you're being seen to be doing your best, even though you are doing your level best.
Right. Yeah. Totally. And it nobody says, to guys, oh, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Never mind. It's just different.
It's very different, and there's really not a whole lot. Like I said, I have to do very little to be
Yeah.
an epic dad. My wife feels like she's fighting against 15 things and work and well, I've got a call and a thing and a this and a that. Well, can't you just play with me? Well,
Yeah.
I don't have time for, well, I mean,
Yeah. I want to. Yeah.
but no,
It
to
is.
your you've got a freshman.
I have a freshman.
I can't
High
believe I said that
school.
out loud.
I
My goodness.
know. Little P, not so little.
What are your aspirations for your son? I obviously understand as a dad, like I have a thing in my mind I think that would be great for my kids, but I try to keep it to myself. What are your aspirations for your son?
Well, one of the things that always makes me the most proud of him isn't like a super tangible thing like being the best at XYZ.
Right.
It's when people tell me he's such a nice kid, he's so kind, he's like, has such a good heart. Like, that is bigger to me than any,
I agree.
accolades that he could get. And so, just especially in these formidable teenage years, keeping him on that path to being a kind, good person is like, that's my aspirations for him.
I love it. I love it.
For sure. I mean, I want him to go on and do great things, whatever he, wants to do. But, being a good person and having a good heart, that's my top goal.
I love it. I love it. You met now correct me if I'm wrong. You met your partner and working at Red Robin after college?
Yeah, we did. We didn't work at the same one. We worked at different Red Robins, and he and his buddy would they had like a rotation of different restaurants they'd go to every night and like check out the hot girls,
Wow. I have no
That's
comment.
right.
There's no comment. I don't know anything of these things.
And I think I was the Friday night stop, and so they would come in every Friday, sit in my section, and so we were kind of just friends, and then we sort of had a falling out and stopped talking. I started ignoring him. I think that works sometimes when you ignore people, and then they,
Yes. I got a little bit of that too.
Yep.
Yes, it does work because you're trying to figure out why are you not talking to me, and subsequently we start acting correctly. But
yeah,
yes, I'm with you there.
Just saying, I didn't plan it that way, but that's how it works. And he came in again a few months later, and I was like, oh, I forgot about that guy. He's just cute. And I was like, hey, call me sometime, and went about my business. And then like 10 minutes later, he had called me from the car, and that was that.
Hey, Shout out young men. If you like her, call her. Do not wait. No games should be played.
Don't play any games. Just do it. Yep. And that was that. And we've been together ever since, married going on 18 years.
Nice.
Yep. We were 12. No.
Right. Like we got married. We were 12 years old. It was fine.
It's like weird. I don't know. So yeah, it's not always easy. Being in a relationship is work, of course. And people always talk about like celebrities as couple goals and hashtag couple goals.
Right.
And I gotta say, you and Dawn are definitely couple goals. The way you guys.
Oh, I'm flattered. Thank you.
The way you interact with each other, and just obviously have so much love and support for each other. So it's always good to have friends that you can look up to and aspire to be as well. And so we are doing the thing, and he, like I said, picks up where I can't when I'm here at work, and he has a more flexible schedule, being able to be at home more. Of course, now in COVID, they're both at home, my son and my husband, and we always have kind of played as a team. So he's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it to your point, it's work. It's a daily, hourly, moment to moment choice to do the work. It is not for the faint of heart. You individuals that are in love and looking in the same direction, I need you to know, love is a verb. It requires action. You have to do the work every day.
And it can be hard to remember to do that. Your partner can get last on the list really easily.
Yes.
And, especially when you have work and you have your friends and you have your children, and then your partner can kind of get pushed to the side. And that's definitely something I am guilty of at times. And so, you have to really put in that effort to make your partner a priority. And it's a reminder to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Your faith base is different, but it's different for a completely different reason for me. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Sure. So I grew up Mormon as a kid. My family is very close to me, and my parents definitely still practice or are very involved in their church. It wasn't for me, but I still could take away, some great things from, my experience growing up in a religious household and, with the religion. One thing about the Mormon faith that I think is really valuable is that they're really family oriented and, family first. And, that's definitely something that I took away from it for sure. As I went into my adolescence and, went to college and did my own thing, it was a choice I made to not continue with. But, my parents are amazing, and I'm really lucky to have supportive parents, and that they respect my choices. So that is how I grew up, which again, people are surprised about.
Well, that and I know very little about any as far as religion goes, like Southern Baptist. I'm Catholic, but I always find it interesting just to know, because I wouldn't have, right, like I wouldn't have known or thought or of their nuances or contrasts or similarities. Like I wouldn't have known that. So that's awesome. The next question that I have is, you have lived in one of my absolute favorite places.
I have indeed.
Oh,
I know what you're gonna say.
I need all the tea. I need all the tea. What was your experience like in Las Vegas? What brought you there, and what transitioned you to your exit?
Yeah. Well, we like you, maybe not quite as frequent as you, but we would go there often for trips, like maybe once or twice a year. And when we first when we were engaged, we decided, let's take a trip down and we'll just look at houses there. At the time, it was like exploding market. It was pretty cheap to buy a house there. We're like, let's just look. And we bought a house that day. And we called our parents. And we said, so we bought a house in Vegas. And we'll be moving there 10 days after our wedding.
Just so you know, just FYI, yep.
No big deal. Just bought a house in Vegas. Don't worry, it has guest rooms and a pool. You can all come. And so, yeah, we did. We bought a house and we moved, and we both still worked for Red Robin at the time. And so we were able to transfer, and so we had jobs lined up. And so, yeah, we were 25, newly married, living in Vegas. It was fun. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Yeah, it was fun. We had lots of visitors because it was Vegas and we were 25 and all our friends wanted to come.
Yes, you are the place that, one reason or another, whether it's a conference or whatever, like everybody's coming to this place.
Yep. So it was good times. We switched careers there. We had fun. We got pregnant there, and we were like, okay, peace out. Gotta go home, be near our family. And we left. So 2.5 years, short, sweet, had fun. And yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. So what?
I will say, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Vegas kind of does something a little crazy to you, though. I have to tell you, from living in there, something about all that heat I think it makes you start going a little crazy. So we had to get out of there.
It does. It does. It does. I think I lived there for a summer, and I was like, yeah, I have to visit here. I can't live here.
Yeah.
Not the way that at the time, not the way that I was living. So I was like, I can't live here. Like I would like to live there now because I have some sense.
Yeah.
So I feel like that experience would be completely different. But yeah, if you stay too long, it
Yeah.
transitions your thinking a little bit.
Sometimes people get a little crazy.
Yes. Yes.
No.
Is there any advice that you would give your younger self? Like if you could go back and have a conversation right out of high school and you're like, hey, whisper a little tidbit in your ear, give you what bit of knowledge or sage advice would you give a younger version of you?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Oh, I wish I had a good answer. This is a great question. I mean, take your time. That's a good, I think, piece of advice. Don't be in a rush. I mean, I think I got married a little young. It worked out, and I'm happy with my life and my partner, but 25 was kind of young to get married.
Right.
So, don't have to be in such a rush, maybe. Yeah, just enjoy the ride and take your time. And I think every stage in your life, you can easily look forward to the next thing.
Mhm.
And, just enjoy the moment that you're in, because you always look back at that time and be like, oh, wow, yeah, that was really fun. Or, oh, yeah, I was really skinny then, or whatever it may be. What you didn't maybe think so at the time. Just appreciate the moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to wrap this up, but I really want to know, like, your just your overall overarching friend group, just in general, like your depth of relationship is very unique. If I'm being completely honest, it's very unique. It being a part of it and also being an onlooker, I is it seems odd, but in an incredibly awesome kind of way. Like it's not the norm. I
Yeah.
what are the obviously you chemistry and kind of just growing with people and that kind of stuff, but what is it about how you relation that is so deep and so thoughtful and so, like, even in COVID, you've shown up at my house like twice to deliver, you know what I mean? Like to deliver something or be a friend or see people or wish a happy birthday, whatever the case may be. Like
6 feet
that's
away. It was 6 feet
right.
away,
No,
people.
we, all protocols
It was
were
at the door.
absolutely. The I just think that's tremendous, and it's
Oh,
kind of
thank
getting
you.
lost in translation a little bit with the current culture that I'm watching
Yeah.
my older kids and so forth. I'm like, so you're not gonna do anything with that? Well,
Right.
no, Dad. What would I do? What? So
You're not gonna talk in person. You're just gonna talk on your phone.
right, or come together and talk to each other on your phone. I don't. What are we doing? But
Yeah. No.
but what are kind of the causes of that? Like, is that just the way, like, your upbringing and everything else, like that all your relationships are very deep and insightful?
Well, thank you so much for saying that. That's so kind of you to say. I uh, definitely love my friends hard, and I would do anything for my people. Um, I think what you're referring to is our what we call the SAC,
Yes, yes,
the
yes.
SAC crew. I live in a cul-de-sac, and you're an honorary member of our cul-de-sac. If
Got
people don't
sworn in. I
know,
got a decoder ring and a wrist
yep,
bracelet. It's awesome.
you're in. Yep. Um, we all moved to this neighborhood. It was just a unique situation. We moved in all at the same time. I was pregnant. Our friends Chris and Jason were pregnant. Naomi and Todd, I think, were also pregnant. We all had kids like around the same time. And our, friendships have aligned a lot to do obviously with our kids, but we as adults have become our what we all call our chosen family.
Yep.
And it really is a unique, whenever I tell my clients about our, situation and our friend group, people are like, wow, that's so cool. I mean, it almost sounds like, from the time of when we grew up, when you knew your neighbors and you were friends with your neighbors and your kids were out all day playing all day, like that is what our kids do all the time now. I mean, barring pouring down rain, but even if it's drizzling, they are out playing outside. Even at 14 years old, they're out there playing football and basketball. And that's what we did as kids. We were out and playing in the woods and playing in the street and just out, and you came back at night. And it is so unique, I think, these days that kids have that opportunity to do that. But then aside from that, us as adults have become so close and are really a family. And we unfortunately won't be able to do it this year, but we do holidays together, with our group and you guys. And it's just so meaningful to me. And for me, particularly having an only child who also has no cousins, so really he is the only kid in our family on both sides. These kids are his family. These kids are his, like cousins or, brothers or sisters. And that is so huge for us, to have that, I wouldn't dream of moving away or, having to not have my people.
Absolutely. And like I said, it's amazing to be a part of, but it being in something and also looking at it, it's so tremendous. And there's so much depth and honesty and love and respect. It should be everywhere. But that's what makes it rare and incredible.
Yeah.
It's not. So
yeah, we're all lucky to have you guys as honorary members of the SAC.
Sames. Well, I won't take up any more of your time. I know that you have things to do, but I cannot say thank you enough for coming on and kind of sharing this space with me.
Well, thank you for asking me. I'm so honored, like I said, and I just think this is awesome that you're doing it, and I'm happy to be on here.
Well, thank you very much. This has been another episode of From the Root to the Fruit. I've been Jay Smith. This is Kasie Harvey. You guys have a good evening. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel a ton. Take care of yourselves. Peace.